All right, I'm going to try this here. I'm actually at my house, my music room, not visiting at my parents'. So I had to kind of set up a home camera thing here. I wanted to wrap up the class a little bit. I mean, we're here at the end, and just discuss a lot of the things. I tried to pose questions throughout this class that were open-ended, opinionated, because I wanted to show that, for one, music is so subjective. This is not like my math classes. If you have my math classes, it's completely different. Um, Math, we have a rigid set of units that we have to go through and get through certain material that we have to do, and it's right or wrong a lot of the times. And really, there's no subjectivity. It's Pythagorean theorem. We gotta get this, and fractions. You gotta get here. With music, there's so many things we could have delved into, and I hope you enjoyed some of the history things we went through and different choices just to see the volume of music that you could go through. And I tried to stay out as far as the questions, as far as even giving, I gave a feedback every once in a while to try to get you to expound a little bit more and maybe explain things. But I tried to keep my opinion out on purpose because I wanted you guys to, state your opinions and not feel, like, oh, I want to get it close to however I feel, because really a lot of these things are subjective. And when I use that term subjective, means you could love something that I don't like, I could love something that you don't like, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that was the wrong answer. So I tried to stay out. Now I'm going to answer some of the questions here and give my some of the knowledge and statements on it, and the tests go through all but the last one because they still have time to turn that in. So I'll go through those so you can see and kind of compare. Now the tests, some of them were like right or wrong answers because we had to also do some of the history of music, and some of those questions were that way. And then I'm going to show you one little thing here. So stick with us here, and we'll go through this and kind of wrap some things up. Um, one thing that I thought was funny to kind of highlight how this music can be subjective is I posted some videos of Jacob Collier, and that's one artist that I enjoy. Now I don't listen to him as far as like as CDs and just or CDs or on an iPod and listen necessarily to his music in the background. I like to study his music. He's very intricate, very creative. If you play instruments, um, you can see that in there. As far as just listening ability, I don't necessarily do that. So I want to highlight that, and things like Harry Connick, you go through, and for me, I look at how skilled it is, and but I put Jacob Collier on there, and one thing I stated was that vocal thing he does where he has all the voices behind him. That is not auto tune. It's not to tune his voice. He actually records his other harmonies on there, so when he plays the keyboard, it fills in his own harmony, so it's almost like his own choir. But it does have that electronic sound and robotic sound. So some people don't enjoy that whatsoever, and I get it. Um, and so, but one of the things I posted 3 different videos, and I remember grading and going through and reading your guys' responses, and I've had some great responses this class. I want to thank you guys for participating in that and expounding on your thoughts. But one person put, I loved the first 2 videos, but the third video I just hated. I didn't like it at all. And it was almost the very next student, but the first 2 videos weren't that great, but the third video I just loved. And I just thought it was funny because it was the exact opposite. And that's, music is so subjective. It really is on what you like and the sounds that you grew up listening to and the things that you like. So I that actually made me happy. I was like, hey, that's showing that you can put your own spin to it. And hopefully, one thing you draw from this class is that you do have kind of a maybe a desire to kind of look into music and see if there's things you want to play. Obviously, this wasn't a class that taught you how to play an instrument, and that's not what this class is supposed to be about. But you now hopefully can say, hey, there's things I know now that I can maybe get into that and start learning an instrument. Really, how I started learning. I went through that at the beginning of the class. I just began to pick up different instruments and listen and play and be around those that play music. So hopefully I encourage some of that. The test, let me go through a couple of the tests here. The first test we did, and this way you just know, you can look back through and maybe see why I deducted some points. I did not deduct a lot of points necessarily. If you missed one, I tried to go with, hey, I could see where you got that answer, but this was what I was looking for. The first test, and I've got it here, it says number one was, how would you describe the difference between a note and a chord? And let me put, I think I was on an organ. So a note is a single note. You can have a C note, you can have a G note. It's a single sound, a single note of what you're playing. The chord is three notes, at least three, played simultaneously at the same time. Now you could have more than three, depending on how intricate the chord is, but that is what a chord is. So it's at least three notes or more. A cappella is music without any, I accepted music or instruments. I'd rather hear instruments on that. I didn't deduct if you put music. Music is singing, so you can't say it's not without music. But I knew what you were trying to put. It's without any instruments. A cappella is just voices. Is sharp above or below a desired pitch? So sharp is above, and it's with that number symbol. That's sharp. The little B here is the flat. Okay, so that's like B flat, and that's below the desired pitch. So what that means is on this note, let's do G. So if I'm at a G, if I go above that, it's a sharp, G sharp. If I go below that, you could call it G flat, or most people call it F sharp, because you go up from F. So, going down is flat, going up is sharp. What does it mean to transpose a song? You change the keys, okay, to whatever key you want to sing. Like if it's in F and that's a little low, you can go up to G and you transpose that song. Is 3/4 time or 4/4 time like a waltz? That is the 3/4 time. That's the waltz. Dun, ch, ch, dun, ch, ch, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's a Christmas song I just heard the other day. 3/4 time. Talk about 3/4, 3/4. That's math and music. But 3/4 time is the Christmas waltz, is the name of the song. So I can't think of the other word. That one I don't know as well, but I just heard that. I was like, oh yeah, 3/4 time is a waltz. Define accent in musical terms. That means how hard and how loud you're playing a song. So if I want to accent something like da 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 da, that made me think of the song. My mom loves it from Parent Trap. Let's get together. They start the song like that. One's on piano, one's on guitar. Now I'm mixing in my movie class, so I've got music, movie, and math. All M's, by the way. Which, maybe I can only teach things with M's. No, I teach PE, so. Which beat, upbeat or downbeat is on 1, 2, 3, 4? That is the downbeat. Okay, downbeat's on the numbers. The upbeat is the ands. So 1 and 2 and 3 and those are the up ones. So the beat that's on the 1, 2, 3, 4 for the answer for that test was the downbeat. And then I asked, what have you enjoyed so much from the class so far? So that was the first test. I'm going through here. I wanted to look at, let me go to the second test for the Unit 2 test, just to kind of talk about what I was looking for. Unit 2. So I asked the question, what kind of music concert would you prefer, given the chance you had any musical talent you wanted? So like that, I was looking just to, if you wanted to be a singer, or if you wanted to do like a symphony, if you could play a violin or something, if you had the choice of a talent. And the reason why I ask questions like this is to get you thinking about what would you be interested in doing, or even what you would think would be challenging. I've always wanted to learn the saxophone. That would be my next instrument I would try to tackle. I've never played in well, I've played in a band as far as a symphony band. I played percussion, but to play like a violin or a saxophone, that would just be intriguing to me. So something like that. What would two of the songs be that you chose to perform, and why? That's pretty self-explanatory. Why did I really, on questions like that, I want to hear why. And so take this advice, going into the final on those essay questions. It's like I said, I'm not looking for necessarily right or wrong. I'm looking for your reasons and that you can back that up with information. And then what would you want the audience to get from your performance? Because when you perform live, you are performing to an audience. You are wanting that feedback. So you can do things. You watch Jacob Collier. He is one that gets his audience involved. Some choose not to do that. They want to keep that separate, and that's fine. That's their choice. I would probably want to do one where I got the audience involved on some of the songs. Some of them, performance-wise, if you felt like, hey, I want to just totally give this song to the audience, you maybe wouldn't want people screaming out or, and I've noticed, and I know I keep using Jacob Collier, but I showed you some of his videos. There's a song he does that's really soft, and someone yells out, and he kind of looks out like, I don't know if that's time. Harry Connick talks about it in one of his concerts on DVD. He says, he'll go to play a song and someone will scream out, yeah, and he's like, man, we were on two totally different wavelengths. And he's cool with that. He's fine with that. He talks about how everybody's just different with music, but that's what I was looking for on those. The Unit 3 test, okay, I've got it here. What was a cue sheet? It's a list of suggested songs to play. They're cheat sheets. Misterioso Pizzicato is what kind of variety of music? It's photoplay music. What kind of musician probably played at the First Theater, the Lumiere Palace? And these are all from that video. Whatever that video, so that's why I was saying check that video. The answers were in there. It was a guitarist. 50% of theaters in 1920 used what kind of instrument? Theater organs was the answer to that one. What three varieties of music and film came in around 1910? This one is where everybody kind of missed, well, not everybody, some got it right, but I deducted a little bit. The first one was improvisational, then it was cue sheets, that was the second one, and some put photoplay music for the third one. Photoplay music is cue sheets. The third one, if you kept watching, was music specifically scored for the film. So those were the three, improvisational, cue sheets, and music specifically scored for the film. What is the number 6, what is the halving or doubling a fundamental frequency? That's an octave. So an octave on the piano is you can go from C to C. It's the same note, it's a C note, same range, but it's an octave higher, and you can go another octave higher, another. Now see, if I hit a different note, let me hit, like if I go and hit an 8, those aren't, you can hear the difference, but those are the same notes, C and C. So that's an octave. Some songs do an octave, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere, that's how it starts. Somewhere, but they start with an octave. Somewhere. Okay, what is one of the factors of expression? You could have put playing ahead or behind, the attack, the power, the vibrato, bending notes, how notes are subdivided. Those were all choices of expression that he gave. Editing and tempo go hand in hand in film. Which chord sounds sad? That's a minor chord. So a major chord sounds like this. Okay, that's a G, but then a minor, and it's just known to kind of be sad. In fact, one of my favorite chords is D minor 7, and it's but a minor is kind of sad instead of a D. It's almost chipper, that minor. What does BPM stand for? Beats per minute. What film does the Blue Danube play in? That's 2001: A Space Odyssey. What is a definition of a leitmotif? That's a recurrent theme associated with a particular person, idea, or situation. So, in okay, that's it's almost like, well, what does that mean? Um, Darth Vader, when he came in, da 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 da, and every time you see him, that music is playing. Um, and in fact, the newer Star Wars, well, I say newer, but the ones that came out in the 2000s, the 1, 2, and 3, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, they started easing it in. When if you're not into Star Wars, you're gonna be like, what is this? But Anakin, when he starts to become Darth Vader and kind of turn to the dark side, they start playing that real softly in the background. So it's a theme that goes with that music. Indiana Jones is maybe one curiously enough, written by the same composer, John Williams. Um, but he wrote Star Wars and he did Indiana Jones. But da 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 da. We were at a movie theater and we heard that, and right away you think Indiana Jones. So that is what a leitmotif. It goes with a idea or a situation or a character. Music that goes with a person. Those are examples of character. Let me look, and I thank you for hanging with me here. Like I said, we're wrapping some of this up, so hopefully this is my chance to kind of give you some of the things I was thinking of when I was asking some of these questions. And like I said, a lot of these I didn't deduct points on the daily assignments as long as you turned them in on time. But this is kind of my chance to kind of share some of my thoughts on this. I asked, what in your opinion makes a good live performance? I had some very good answers with that. A lot of people focused on that the audience needs to get involved. So, I feel like where I enjoy instruments, I want to see a good band. And two, I like to hear singing, the singing part of it. If I hear a singer that I enjoy on a CD or on hear it at the house, I want that singer to be that good when it's live. Now, obviously, I know that can't always happen perfectly, but I always notice like, wow, they must have really fixed their voice in the studio if they can't sing live. And I enjoy, that's where participation. Now that's where, like, going to a concert, I remember going to different concerts and being a part of it. One of my favorite concerts, I went to Central Bible College, and that's where live performance can be a lot of different places. But I was there, and it was a small venue, but it was you could be a part of it almost. It wasn't like I was just sitting and watching, I was a part of it. So, that's something that you could look for. Let's see. Mahogany Sessions video. Had you look at different Mahogany Sessions. Those are people, all different kinds of people that perform music. Gregory Porter is one I enjoy. He's got a really good voice. He does some a cappella on there. Alana Afflin was, I think, another one I enjoyed. A couple of videos. Now, some of them can get repetitive. I know there's some that have a lot to where I like some of them, but not all of them. So I was just, trying to show you some different styles. They are very instrument driven. They're very cautious with their music in the way of, they put a lot of, I don't know if cautious is the right word, but they definitely, try to play more than just like a repetitive, and like I said, that's not bad. I mean, if you like a song that's just repeats on the radio, a good radio tune, there's nothing wrong with that. But it repeats itself and it has a chorus and a thing. A lot of their music is not necessarily that way. It tries different choices and goes different places, and so there's a variety to it. When during the day do you listen to music? That was one that I asked. That was just feeling out where how much music. I play it when I start to work and do something. When I studied, another example, when I was at Central Bible College, when I'd have to write a paper, I really, I could not I needed something playing in the background. I needed some noise. But if it was like a movie, or if it was talking, or if it was music with lyrics, I couldn't concentrate. I would concentrate on what was playing. So I had a Glenn Miller CD that I would put. It was just instruments. It's that I think I put some Glenn Miller music when I did swing and jazz, and so that would play, and I'd just keep it on repeat, and I could do a lot better studying to that because there wasn't any vocals, but it was music, and it would have fast songs and slow songs, so it kind of gave me a variety. Let's see. I think I put the song that was too high and too low to sing, and that's where transposing comes in. If I go to play a song, this is if you go to learn music or an instrument, if I go to play a song and it's too high, I'll lower it so I could sing it. A lot of hymns that I play at church are too high, written the way they're written, and so I have to lower them. In fact, the one I'm going to play here at the end, I had to do that. I have to lower it. My voice is a little bit lower, so some people have to do that. Similar songs. When I asked about copy music, I am constantly doing that. In fact, I was with our crew, our when we were serving the Thanksgiving lunch, and there was a song that was playing that I leaned over to Mr. Schneider and I said, "Hey, there's a song that we both knew that said, do you hear that song inside of this song?" And as soon as we started hearing it, we're like, "Oh yeah." I do that all the time. There's groups that I like. I still like their music, but I know they've sampled and copied some others. From those videos, I think one of the main ones was the Canon in D that compared to Maroon 5, I think it was. I mean, that was almost exactly da 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 da. That's a very known tune. So hopefully, like I said, those are some questions I wanted you to expound going into the final. I hope that is something that you think about going to the final next week. That as those essay questions are posed, or even the rest of this week, as I ask questions, make sure you're putting your thoughts on why you do it. And a lot of you guys are doing that, and you're seeing. Hopefully, those grades reflect that. I did want to show you this. Now that this is a long video, so I want to go ahead and wrap it up. But just to reiterate the chords and the technical side of it a little bit, to give you an idea. Well, actually, I'll keep it on piano symphony here for a second. So I was playing this song. This is I was going through some of the Christmas music, and I'm gonna probably do a little bit of that this week. I did that with my movie class because it's getting close to Christmas time, and I love Christmas time and the music and the movies, and so I used a Christmas movie that we're studying. So Christmas music, obviously, now I start listening to it way earlier than you're supposed to, I guess. But my mom's, she's got a couple favorite ones, and this was one, and I was trying to learn it, play it. And kind of when I use a chord book here, I don't read notes, but I do read the chords and kind of go through. I try to make it my own a little bit now. I've learned some about the piano that I try to add to it or fill it or do what I like. And here was an example so that you know that, and this is the main thing I want to draw from this, is as you're learning music, don't feel like you have to play exactly the way that's like, oh, this is the right way and this is the wrong way. That's what being creative is about. And that's really, I'm getting really deep here as far as your education. It's always about just learning things you don't know. And even maybe some things that you know, but expounding on that and going in deeper, maybe why you know it or why you like it. But, you don't have to necessarily say, okay, this is what I have to do. With music, you can experiment a little bit. And so there's a part of this song that, let's see, my voice is almost shot now, so I don't know if I'll be able to sing that well, but it starts out, it came upon a midnight clear. So if I just play that, it came upon a midnight clear, I'm supposed to stay in that G. Okay, and that's a long time to hold that G, and that's why the symphony sounds good with it, because I can just hold it out. But when I start to play around with that, I can do variations of G and add add some bass notes to make it sound fuller. And so to me, it makes that holding of that note a lot fuller and a little bit variety. So I played, I was messing around with it. It says, it came upon the midnight clear. Instead of just holding that G out, oops. Well, it adds fullness to it. And so, that is one example. Another thing is when you go to that glorious song of old. You see, I can do as I end that, and it just adds fullness to it. So I was learning it actually so you hear it. Let's see. Yeah. So I was learning it like this. Things to it and really make it your own. And so, that's where you do it on harpsichord. If you want to sound like the old classical music that we did. But anyway, I'll wrap it up with this. I'm going to have you, I've got a little thing for you today for your assignment, and then we'll finish out this week. We've got finals next week. And hopefully, like I said, you learned things from this class. You guys have been giving great feedback, and I hope you had a good term overall. And I'll let you guys go with that. Can't wait to be back on campus with you guys. So.